Hi, I'm Shar. I was just on an Ace Fiction panel, and we didn't have time to answer all the questions, so this is a follow-up. This is a set of questions with the theme of own voices. Let's see, the first one is, do you think non-Ace writers can accurately write Ace characters, or should only Ace people write about Ace characters, or should there be a requirement to reach out to Ace people before writing Ace characters? So this gets into the kind of the right to write arts for art's sake, versus, not speaking over own voices by non-Ace popular authors writing asexual characters. And so, right, unfortunately, the question, should there be a requirement to reach out to Ace people before writing Ace characters, it's kind of that begs more questions like who would require this? And maybe some publishers require sensitivity readers, and I think that's fantastic to get more information about how the book might be received. I think it's in their own financial best interest to get sensitivity readers. But in terms of any kind of art, it gets really messy when you say people should or should not do things, and then we run into, well, what if someone is Ace, but they don't want to have to say that they're Ace? So just preliminary sum of why this question is messy, but I'll start answering the questions as they're asked. Do I think non-Ace writers can accurately write Ace characters? Yes. Coffee Cake by Michaela Gray. In an interview, she talked about how she thinks it's important to increase awareness for the Ace community, and she got this as a writing prompt. The original start off of the story was a writing prompt for fan fiction. I just love when fan fiction turns into an original book. But right, I don't know what degree of sensitivity readers or research she does, or if she personally knew people who were Ace. And I want to mention real quick that book is an erotica. So it's a sex indifferent Ace character in a romantic relationship where it does seem like he's experiencing some secondary desire, and there's just a lot of scenes that give different reasons for why an asexual character in a romantic relationship would be interested in, enthusiastic about consenting to sex or sex acts. And I felt like I could really relate to that. So I do think it's possible. I think the danger with, usually non-Ace authors, but also Ace authors, is that you don't realize that your perception of asexuality is coming from a society that's been misrepresenting asexuality. So when you write a character that seems Ace to you, you are accidentally perpetuating those negative representations that you were fed. So I think it's so important for authors, no matter their sexuality, to realize that they probably have some incorrect hidden assumptions about asexuality, to read own voices stories, to get sensitivity readers, to be very critical of any stereotype that they feel like they need in their story or want to justify, whether that's non-human, trauma, robotic, sociopath, childish. I'm not saying you are not allowed to, not even if I could somehow control you, I wouldn't forbid these tropes, because, there can be a reason for them. And in the self-expression follow-up video, I talk about that more. Okay, what's the next part of the question? Should only Ace people write about Ace characters? I do think there's value to the Own Voices movement, and I hope that publishers prioritize Own Voices ACE stories. But I also think it's very helpful to have other authors include ACE stories. You know, we're a small percentage of the population, so getting the word out there is a group effort. So I appreciate when it's done well. And I appreciate even in books like What If It's Us, where there's just one line of a character saying, oh, I'm asexual biromantic, and they don't even leave space for it to be defined, because the reader can Google it. So I think that was a very safe move on the author's part, and you know, it's very much not attempting to tell the story of being asexual while still acknowledging that asexuality exists. So I think everyone should be able to write ace fiction. Right, and then I already covered the requirements. I suggest research and in-depth research and being critical of yourself and getting that Own Voices feedback and being open-minded to that Own Voices feedback and getting more than one person whose own voice is to give the feedback. The next question, what can people do to be better ACE allies? As a non-ACE writer, I would love to be able to openly and accurately include ACE people in my works. So I know I've already answered this question with the previous question, but I just wanted to include that, you know, it's not just an ACE person questioning if only ACE people should be allowed to write it. It's also a non-ACE writer being concerned about being a good ally and accurately representing ACE people in their stories. Right, I think in the debate of authorial intent versus reader interpretation, there should really be a byline of, you know, if you're an author and you go in with a positive intent to do respectful, positive representation, and then you publish and then you get criticism, it's important to consider that criticism and respond to that criticism, and, you know, possibly say that you changed your mind about how you did that rep, how you would do the rep differently in the future. Authorial intent doesn't mean I had good intentions, therefore don't question me. Authorial intent is an ongoing process of accepting feedback. I mean, as I go into more in the self-expression follow-up video, no matter what you do, Allo or Ace, if you write an Ace story, it is very likely that someone else out there is going to feel genuinely that it's not Ace and tell you so. So, right, I'm not saying that, like, as soon as an Ace person questions your Ace rep, you must roll over. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying be open to the criticism. And then the last question, do you think more prominent Own Voices rep would in itself help improve rep written by others? Absolutely. As I was saying earlier in this video, Ace and Allo authors have a lot of negative, inaccurate Ace rep in the media sphere around them and don't realize that that's impacting what they write. So if there is more Own Voices rep out there, that will help authors, Ace and Allo alike, to kind of increase that cycle of positive Ace rep. Yeah, so those are my thoughts about Own Voices. I want to be really clear, these are my opinions. This is an ongoing debate about who should write what story. And it's complicated. And it's dangerous, whether or not your own voices or not. Expressing an identity, which is very meaningful to people, puts you at risk for expressing it in a way they don't agree with. You know, no matter what your intent was. And, you know, it's a balance between expressing yourself and seeking out that research and feedback to try not to do harm. Okay, bye.